need you to stay strong. There will be time to fall apart once this is all over.
I know. Look, we all feel like we've been kicked into the ground a million times over, but I think I have something. I'm serious. If I may, I know our encounter with the Hunter is the last thing anyone wants to talk about right now, but he said something that I can't get out of my mind. Unity. Do you remember that? Exactly. Somehow. The thing is, I've heard that word before. It's an important concept in Keeper Aquilas' speech.
The priest? Is the Sanctum Universum going to bless our little crusade of discovery?
It can't be a coincidence. The Sanctum has always believed that answers are out. Look, I know it's the longest of shots and the biggest leap of faith I could ever ask us all to take, but why not talk to him?
There's no harm in gathering more information. A visit to the Sanctum might actually be quite enlightening.
Thank you. I know it's not much to go on, but something about this. I'll meet you over there.
You forget how much you take a place like the Lodge for granted. Until it's
I have something I really need to talk to you about.
Inventory all our equipment and other.
All right, out with it. What the hell is the matter with you? You can't be serious. You're going to stand there and pretend you don't know what I'm talking about? It's an... You want to play this foolish game? Members of Constellation are held to the highest regard, yet you persist on making poor decisions that reflect badly. If you intend to continue this behavior, then maybe we shouldn't be... I'm not going to stand here and describe everything you've done, but let's just say, if you don't, then I need to seriously consider the need for us to be traveling together. I'm not sure there's anything you can say. Well, that definitely helped. Well, I suppose I can understand that. Maybe you are... I don't know. Look, I realize things out here can be rough, so I'm going to let this go. But just try to be more careful in the future. We should have a talk. When you have the time, of course.
Andreja.
Why do you draw out the vowels of my...
Ron Hope was a real piece of...
It's like saying hey and your name at the same
Oh, don't
time.
tell me his bleeding heart, He held innocent people with little regard, treating their lives like numbers on a balance sheet. It's an absolute disgrace.
About it that way, but that's entirely fair.
I'm relieved. Letting him off the hook would have been a terrible injustice.
Wanted to check in with you and make sure all was well.
While that's true, it certainly doesn't excuse the blood that he has on his hands.
Okay, point made, Andreja.
No, it certainly isn't. Especially when it comes at the expense of you. Well, I think I've lectured you enough. When you have a moment, I'd like to speak to you. Thanks for giving me a moment. I thought you deserved to know how proud I am that you chose to side with the United. You've almost single-handedly saved the settled systems from one of its most... well, I'm not sure I deserve. What I want to know is what... You had Crix's legacy in hand, and you could have easily taken it to the key. Yes, that would have been unfortunate. The Crimson Fleet would have had enough wealth to fund... So, no regrets betraying Delgado then? I imagine... Goodness, I didn't... At least things will be quieter. I suppose my final concern is how long this... Perhaps. My only concern are the reports that... My hope is that she was smart and went into permanent exile. Ah. Well, it appears I've soured the mood of our lovely... I trust my mindless prattle hasn't been too much of a bother.
Okay, Andreja. I've got an idea. You're gonna love it.
I am not certain that I believe you.
Remember our last conversation? Well, it got me thinking. Just because I wasn't familiar with the experience you described doesn't mean...
Take my hand.
What
Oh,
is the purpose
well,
of
sure.
this activity?
It's not an...
It's fun.
No.
Well, you know where to find me.
I will be monitoring everyone's vitals for signs.
You have a moment?
Any luck tracking down the sensors?
It's amazing to think that this tree predates New Atlantis. Can you imagine all the changes it's seen? Maybe we should stop for a
Keeper
moment
Aquilas?
at the memorial.
Can we have a moment?
You know,
Oh, Mateo.
to pay our
It's
respects.
been too long. How are your parents? Your mother still struggling?
No, she figured that out a while ago. Had to adjust the pH levels in the soil. But keep...
Oh. Well, what's on both your... Oh. Yeah. How humanity comes together. How we are to love each other, even as our universe becomes even...
That's not exactly what we... Keeper, when you talk about unity, well... Does it mean...
Perhaps we should talk about this inside. Oh, now that we have a little privacy, why don't you tell me exactly...
They're like nothing we've ever seen, Keeper. Gravitational distortion, sub-audio harmonic sequencing, unidentifiable energy...
I caught half of that. So, these things are... There have always been mysteries that seem to defy our understanding of the universe. We enter life as an act of someone else's faith in us. There's no way of knowing who we will become, and yet... So, you've pushed into the unknown, not knowing where it would take you. And it's brought you here. I think I can. If you're willing to find your way in the dark for a bit longer, I can give you a path. There's an old story, far older than the Sanctum Universum, of someone who walked the settled systems, and this pilgrim claimed he found the true meaning of unity. I always thought of it as just a parable for trying to bring humanity together, but maybe it's more. I'm not sure if he was, but if what you're looking for is connected, then anything might be possible. In my story, the pilgrim met the founders of the House of Enlightenment and the enigmatic cult of the Varun. And he gave them each. Then he goes to his final resting place to live out the rest of his days in contemplation of infinitum addendum. His addition, or... But what if the story isn't a metaphor, but a code? A way of finding the pilgrim again. Or at least... Yes, something must be there. I just can't put my finger on it. Maybe the answer will become clear when we have more. The House of Enlightenment and Varun have versions of this story. Oh yes, typically. But there is a lone zealot that was captured recently for attacking UC ship. I've visited her a couple of times. Hopefully, she'll be willing. And if you need directions to the Enlightened, they have a branch in the well helping the poorest citizens of New Atlantis. Oh, and here, take this. You're a member of the Sanctum after all, and this is...
I'll stay here with the Keeper. We need to catch up. And I wouldn't mind asking him a few more questions.
Yeah?
One day, I'm gonna leave you.
I have something I need to discuss with you.
What's even the point of
It's nothing like an afternoon off.
Something you might be in. When you have a moment, I'd like to speak to you. Yeah, what is it?
My mother wanted me to be a doctor.
If it's about the financial or food assistance programs, we are backlogged. Don't worry, we're doing... Oh, we're not.
We don't mean to be intrusive. Any information you could provide would be very useful.
Listen, I've talked about this with him a ton of times, and there's no record of a Unity pilgrim, but our early records are mostly administrative. Humanitarian projects, group counseling notes, charity expenditures. But there is a series of exchanges the founding members recorded in a lot of detail. It's the closest thing I have to what Aquilus is describing. A man walks into the first House of Enlightenment. The founding members just call him the Drift. So they think he's a charity case at first, but no, the Drifter asks them a bunch of questions. If your philosophy is built on an individual's own morality, what about the second person? That second person might disagree. Isn't the problem of two what you're really looking for? And the founders respond, each individual must understand how the second person lifts them up. All of human effort is a story of cooperation pushing us, and it kind of goes on like that. He comes back every week for a year, same conversation every time, second person this. That's what you got out of that. Honestly, I think the founding members made it all up. There was a little more hesitation being openly atheist in the early days. I think they were experimenting. Fortunately, that got abandoned pretty quick. After the records of the Drifter end, you never see anything like it again. Sorry, I couldn't be of more help, but...
We should have a talk. When you have the time, of course.
As a tracker agent, my duty is to inform and advise.
Oh, I've always liked that statue. It's beautiful, isn't it? I wonder what the artist was trying to represent.
Hey, I've heard of you. The Explorer, right? You ever think of joining those Constellation folks?
A visitor? I have all the company I need. Jokes. You come to hear about Varun.
I don't think it was a joke. It was an attempt at some genuine sympathy.
The Great Serpent waits in the shadows. He will entwine the universe, and all but the faithful will be made. That is the truth. No more, no less.
Yes, I do as well. We both like to keep an open mind.
The knowledge of the Great Serpent sweeps away all concern. There is only his inevitable return, and those he will spare. Nothing else. You wish to speak of the Keeper's Pilgrim, do you not? I will tell you of him, and then you will leave. Jinan Varun meets the Unbeliever. He gives false prophecy to Jinan. But such is Jinan's conviction in the Great Serpent, he does not hesitate. He cuts the Unbeliever down, but the Unbeliever returns. Jinan realizes the Great Serpent is testing him, and he will not be found wanting. 4 times they fight. Over 120 rotations of the planet they are on. Remember these 4 battles, Jinan, the Unbeliever says. Remember these 120 rotations. But Jinan knows this is blasphemy, and delivers the killing. That is all. I have heard of no such thing. If it exists, it is a shadow that the Great Serpent casts. Then we are done.
We should have a talk. When you have the time, of course.
You have a nice day now.
How can I help you, Captain?
When you have a few minutes.
Just one quiet day.
It's a shame House Varun abandoned their embassy. I bet we could have learned a lot from one another.
Well, you're back. What did you learn? Planets are often named by number. That second might mean the What else did you learn? If there really is a location the Pilgrim wanted us to find, was there anything else? Yes. What he added to infinity. Maybe that points to a name. If we're looking for his resting place, we'd need to know the name of the star. Let's see. We have something that could be coordinates. Something that could point to a planet in the system. Infinitum addendum. What if we break down the parts? No systems named finite or add. That just leaves in and dumb. Well, that's certainly how I feel. Yes, that's it. The second planet in Indum, at 4 and 120. That's where you'll find them. And from there, maybe you'll find the truth. Before you go, you've now spoken to many different perspectives in our universe. I know you're looking for a specific unity, but if you had to guess what it was, but what makes something like that holy? Gravity is also a force that brings things together. Yes and no. We believe God is out there waiting for us in the universe, and that the grav jump will... But is gravity itself an article of faith? What do you think? And so you think this word unity describes a similar miracle? The processes of the universe are all in accord.
With all due respect, gravity is no miracle. There are solid scientific foundations for it to exist.
Well, I won't keep you any longer.
When you have a few moments, there's something I'd like to discuss.
Transferring parts now. You take care out there.
Whoever lived at this homestead seemed to have settled in for the long haul. maybe you can get that to point us to the nearest restaurant. Aha. Well, that was fun. Now what?
When you have a moment, I'd like to speak to you.